I think we should move on to Ron DeSantis, who
Okay.
I was on the ground in Florida covering, DeSantis. By the way, while there is a massive affordable housing crisis in the state of Florida, where rent is being jacked up 40 to 50%, where people are getting evicted from their homes, where property insurance is through the roof, by the way. And Florida, if you're in the audience from Florida, you know Florida was hit pretty much the hardest of any state in the 2008 crash. Foreclosure city in Florida. But Ron DeSantis is focused on the important things, like making sure we can't teach anything about LGBT history, making sure that, Joey can't come into class and talk about his picnic with his two daddies from the weekend, making sure that we don't teach critical race theory in schools, even though they're not being taught. And now, if you didn't think it could get worse, he is now banning, or the Florida Department of Education is banning, which is just working for him. They're now banning like 40% of the proposed math textbooks, citing that they have critical race theory in them. Florida rejects 54 math books claiming critical race theory appeared in some. The Florida Education Department has rejected 54 mathematics textbooks for its K through 12 curriculum, citing reasons spanning the inclusion of critical race theory to common core learning concepts. The rejected books make up a record 41% of the 132 books submitted for review, the Department of Education said. Of them, 28 were rejected because, quote, they incorporate prohibited topics or unsolicited strategies, including critical race theory. I don't even know how.
It's so ridiculous, Jordan. Critical race theory, just for starters, is like grad level college theory. You don't even learn it in high school in this country. So the idea that they're approaching anything that has to do with critical race theory is absurd. It's absurd.
It's like
they should be teaching it in high school. That's my opinion.
But Tina, what I don't understand, because I failed math twice, I don't understand like where the critical race theory comes into play. Like, are we doing long division and like the I don't know, this symbol stands for Black Lives Matter? I don't fucking understand what the hell this lunatic is talking about. Obviously, it's intentional to rev up his base in 2024.
I think if there's some word problem or some statistics problem, but not obviously in kindergarten. I mean, come on, give me a break. But I'm guessing that there's some word problems that have to do with race.
I'd love to see it because he's been asked for examples and he hasn't given any.
Well, I doubt, because what he thinks is CRT and what actually is CRT are two different things. I mean, It's ridiculous, but it's wild that this even became such a big discussion in the country in the last 2 years. It was the next thing that the Republicans had to glam onto to have as like the big bad boogeyman to beat up, right? It's it's a response to, because of Black Lives Matter. So now it's like you've got the White Lives Matter movement, which is increasing. It's a knee-jerk, racist, reactionary response to, God forbid, people in this country having some equality at long last.
If you think the culture wars are just a distraction, yes, they are. But there's a strategy behind it. And because in Florida and nationally, we don't really have an opposition party. We don't really have a populist opposition party that's actually fighting for the working class. Candidates like Ron DeSantis are winning. Because essentially Republican base, which eats this shit up, critical race theory and anti-LGBTQ stuff. And in Texas, they're trying to like criminalize parents with transgender kids and now going to war with math textbooks. Going to war with math textbooks. That activates the Republican base because they are viewing their governors and candidates as fighting for the causes they care about, even though they're stupid and terrible causes.
Moral, right? This is their idea of what moral is, and it's not moral at all, in my opinion. It's hateful. But, fascism always rises during periods of income inequality. So we have a history of that, right? We can go back through time and see where that's the case. So the fact that income inequality is so severe in this country right now is absolutely a contributing factor to what we're seeing. The hard
but also
becoming more radical. Whatever terminology you want to use, but it's definitely connected.
But it's not rocket science, Tina, because what Ron DeSantis is doing, if you live in Florida, let me know in the super chat. Florida's inflation rate higher than the national average. Florida's rent is going up 30 to 50%. Tampa and Orlando, so that I-4 corridor, I went to school in Tampa. Tampa and Orlando and Miami are the fastest increasing rents in America. Property insurance is through the fucking roof in Florida. DeSantis isn't doing anything about this. In fact, he just gave another tax break to big donors and corporations. So how do you distract from this economic misery? Well, you throw out shit that the media is going to salivate at because they don't want to cover the economic misery because the media is owned by the same corporations benefiting off of the economic misery and the economic Hunger Games, really, because the media has a lot of sponsors in real estate and elsewhere. So the media will cover "Don't Say Gay" and now DeSantis's press conference against math textbooks and the Stop Woke Act. It is all connected to distracting the masses from the economic machete falling down on the great people of Florida and everybody else.
Right. And if, a lot of these guys, they make that appeal to their racist, base, right? The reason you're not doing well financially is because of brown and black folks or because of gay folks. Like, they're telling them to point their finger at these various other groups, right? And these white folks that are like, yeah, you're right. I can't get a pay increase because some brown immigrant stole my job. That's the kind of stuff that they say and they buy into it. And it's totally garbage, but it's effective for these folks, unfortunately. And there is an increase of that.
Right. And, at this point, before we wrap up this topic, listen, if you think this is not connected, if Donald Trump, who knows? If Donald Trump is in jail, if Donald Trump, there's more and more reports about his mental status. If Donald Trump, it looks like he's losing steam at these rallies. He's getting less and less people to come out to those rallies. Ron DeSantis is probably going to win the GOP nomination.
That is my thought exactly, Jordan. I know. I think he has a solid chance. Here's the thing: the movement that Trump spawned, right? This Trump movement hasn't gone away. It's still there, even if they abandon Donald Trump and they pick another candidate like Ron DeSantis. That movement is still full bore going. You still have the QAnon movement is still going. You have Proud Boys that are now, joining up with Patriot Front, which is a neo-Nazi organization. So it's like, are the Proud Boys the gateway drug to more hardcore hate on the right? So this stuff is increasing. It's not going away. And whether Trump runs or not, I believe is tangential to that, right? This thing is still going to be going.
And by the way, if Biden runs again, I think DeSantis would beat him. If it's Kamala Harris, I think DeSantis would wipe the floor with him. Yeah. If it's Pete Buttigieg, who the Washington Post today put at number 2 in their 2024 presidential rankings, I published a video about that earlier. You should check it out. Mayor Pete. Yeah. I was in South Bend showing his destruction of South Bend. But if he would destroy Pete Buttigieg, I think most any Republican would destroy Pete Buttigieg. So, I agree. We'll see what happens, but don't.
The Democratic Party can do at this point, in my opinion, is not provide a left exit to the economic pain that people are experiencing. We've seen this already, right? We've seen how this turns out. Hillary Clinton was never going to offer a left exit to economic misery, right? She's a pro-bank candidate. That's who she is. She's pro-corporation. And a warmonger. And a warmonger. We're still paying the price for the way that they treated Bernie Sanders in 2016, in my opinion. The Democratic Party lost voters that they still have done nothing to earn back, right? And so if they choose to go down that route again, it will be a disaster. I think a big piece of why Biden was able to win against Trump was COVID. I think the way that Trump handled COVID was very bad. I'm not saying Biden's done a better job because he hasn't. I think they've both done crappy jobs of this. But I do think it was a contributing factor as to why Biden was able to win that election, because neither one of these candidates were particularly popular with their base.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern time.